Alright, we kind of all saw it coming, and I guess that day was recently. I guess as some of you have known, technically Allods in North America, I guess you can say in some ways, just went kaput. Essentially, the publisher, the company Webzen, I guess for one reason or another, decided to drop the game, probably just from all the negative reviews, and every single Allied player base, it seems like, outside of Russia, basically went back into the control of Russia, which essentially meant a large merge. In many ways, it's just the same players from what I've seen, and I don't know if much has changed, or if that's just a sign of this game is just, on its last lifeline. What do you guys think?
I have noticed some new players, although there's not too much of a difference in the actual community itself since then.
I personally have noticed a big difference in things like skirmishes, where you can sort of, rely on skirmishes popping at, various times during the day, which is quite nice. Whereas before, we didn't really have a lot going on.
Now, one thing too about this merge was all of the time zones, obviously they had to change because you had people from European to North Americans to even like people from the Italian servers to my knowledge, and it seems like the time-wise it caters to the Europeans. So if you're a North American, you're kind of out of luck in terms of the time zones, and I think that pretty much kind of telling the player base in North Americans like, we don't care about you, go find something else. Essentially, like, what would you say? I think the only other currently person on the chat here is Iffy. So you're from North America. How do you feel about the times?
Well, I think the times suck. I do understand. I think the European, they had a larger European base that they were merging us into. So what they did is understandable, but it is inconvenient for me.
I think it's just a total rubbish. They just put everyone together. Okay, you guys figured it out yourself, type of thing.
It's quite
Kills
funny
the
as
game.
well. If you look at their main page, they've got the big banner over top. Play together with the EU icon and the US flag, or whatever. But the reality is, because of the way they've set, certain big events in the game, we aren't playing together.
I know it's one thing kind of funny in in general speaking, like in terms of the merge. Now, I've played other MMOs where there's like a global community of people, but for this game in particular, what I find kind of humorous is it seems like ever since the merge, there have been language barriers and pretty racist and discriminating comments with everybody kind of hating each other, like Europeans blasting North Americans making derogatory comments about Europeans. Like, what has your guys' experience been?
Well, I was doing a run earlier today, and the tank was doing fine. He was a bit undergeared, but it was nothing too bad. And as soon as it turned out that he was actually, French and didn't speak English, the first reactions from the teammates were, "Oh my god!" And it hadn't really made a difference to the run. But it was quite interesting to see that all of a sudden, just because he was French, everybody got a whole lot less cooperative.
Right. Well, looking back in terms of how Gpotato or Webzen handled this game, I guess we can all say it was unsuccessful. And since we did do videos before in the past talking about things, it was either like the pay to win that killed it or the management and so forth. Like, what are your guys' overall thoughts now that that company is no more? Like, what do you guys think was the biggest killer of this game in general?
Well, the interesting thing is, and every major patch it seems like the prices go up. For example, as soon as they merged us with the European servers, the prices have gone up again.
Well, I think it's a great game with great story, a nice art, and skirmishes. Policies killed it. Webzen cash shop didn't fix stuff.
The thing I've seen in this game throughout time is it's not just one thing which will help a person to win. It's everything added together. So I really can't say at this point, how the game will look in, say, a few months' time.
And I guess a big question too is, now that this game is no longer under, say, Gpotato / Webzen's control, would you as a player ever play a game published or managed by that company ever again?
Nah, that's an easy one.
I've played a few of their games, and we're all pretty much the same in the way they're managed and handled.
Well, it seemed like Webzen just made cash grab every turn. We're never looking to the long run, to like 6 months or a year ahead, killing the player base and killing their own profit.
But now the Allod is back to where it came from, and so far I'll be honest with you, I don't feel a different. I still feel like it's the same crap that we're dealing with before.
I guess the other interesting thing to see will be what happens with the so-called pay-to-play server at the moment.
Well, that
Which
is,
since patch, I don't think it has been pay-to-play because it's been free due to payment issues the whole time.
yeah, that is an interesting topic. As everyone knows, they did release a pay-to-play server, and ever since the merge here, or the transfer back to the Russian servers, they've never actually built the pay-to-play server, and to my knowledge, the official reason is they can't get the payment process to work correctly. And I think I've heard various stories, even from people that play the free-to-play, their payments get, for example, their money actually gets taken from their account, but they don't get credit, and there's been quite a few people complaining. And I guess as a result, they can't process the paid-to-play server as well. Unfortunately, from what I read too, that server is just completely dead. There's like nobody there, people have pretty much left, so it makes you wonder, what is the real reason like they can't take payments? Is it because for some reason they can't accept foreign currency, or is it because the server is so dead? This is like a way to hopefully, try to get more people.
But I heard a lot of rumors is, as my owner said, people get their credit card charged the equal amount, but they don't get the jump charge. So that's really shocking, man. Like, I'm scared to eat money now.
Yeah, that happened to one of our guildies.
Yeah, indeed. They actually charged her credit card without actually giving her the credit, and she actually sent in a support ticket and she never got a response. And the only way she got her money back was to literally do a chargeback on her credit card, which I think that will make anybody feel like really uncomfortable doing business with a company. There was one thing we all found that was kind of funny when the servers moved, because it seems like, I guess you can say, they really rushed it, and we've pretty much been invaded by the placeholders. You can see here, for example, when you go to this instance, it's like every enemy, every mob, boss, buff, debuff, they all say placeholder, like you don't even know what's going on. And I guess I find the humorous, at the same time kind of sad that they were willing to release something with this much unfinished work. Like, what are you guys' thoughts?
I mean, on the one hand, yeah, it is quite funny, but it makes it so hard to play the game when often these buffs are sort of quite crucial to what you're doing. So if you don't know what's happening around you, then you don't know how to respond.
Well,
Yeah, but then again,
communicate with your teammates, like CC placeholder number 2531. No, not 2534.
bring us to a point is they did really rush it. Game's still fun. As I said, like, I play the game because there's still people in the game that I like, enjoy the game. But again, if these people don't exist in the game, therefore, yeah.
Well, I think that's kind of the general conscious for the games in general. Like, what do you guys think? I think for the most part, with the population that's left, you're either playing it because you're currently with a group of people that you've been playing it for a while, so it's just, something you enjoy just to like relax, or you're like this pay-to-win person, for example, where, like, from what I've seen, like, people just have like a false sense of, I guess, skill or accomplishment, like they're so good when really they just spend like $30,000 killing everybody. So that seems to be the only real two types of group of people left. Like, what do you guys think?
To be fair, I'd be pretty f***ed off if I had spent 30 grand on my character and I couldn't face roll your average player.
That sounds about right to me, Owner.
Again, like, there's people who play the game because the cash up element is in there in the game, and that's what they enjoy. But by saying that, the cash up element in the game might be a killer for the game as well. This is coming from someone with high tune, probably worth 2,300 market, or how much I spend on it.
I guess that's
The
one
other
of the,
thing I'd
that's one
like
of the
to
big
point out-
questions that a lot of people actually ask us, because I know a lot of people that watch this are actually old Allods players and stuff, and we usually get a lot of questions like, is it worth it to come back, and how's like the situation in the game? So in an honest question, if someone's to ask you whether they're new or an old player, they ask, is it worth it to try this game? What would you guys honestly say to them?
If the question is a monetary one, I would say no, but if it's to just come and play a good game and actually enjoy all the great things that Allods does have, I'd say yes.
For me, it's the same as all previous patches, if you're brand new to the game, I'd probably say no. I mean, there's too many cash shop advantages which, people like myself who, even if I haven't necessarily spent a lot of money on the game, because I've been here so long, I've been able to build up these advantages. Any new person coming in is behind in terms of that, as well as needing to level up, get the gear, all of that. But I mean, that being said, if you're someone who maybe had left the game and was looking at coming back, you've got more of a shot. I think it sort of links back to what we were talking about earlier, just before this video, about free-to-play games, putting themselves out there as being free-to-play, but then the reality being you need to pay to play.
That was actually an interesting article that came out just shortly after this transfer took over, actually. As you can see here, there was this article where apparently Europe is trying to develop this policy where companies are not allowed to call their games a free-to-play if it's not truly free, in the sense of, for example, you can't really progress through the game in a reasonable way without actually paying money, and I think that's kind of interesting. I don't know why they didn't implement something like that before. Like, what do you guys think about a policy like this? And does this kind of remind you of, like, say, like Allods, for example, with the model? Like, would it kind of fall under something like this, where it says, nope, you're not allowed to call this free-to-play?
I think they'd find a way around it very quickly. Games would just start rebranding as free to log in, or, free to something else, which would be within the rules. But, in effect, it's still the same thing.
Listen to this lawyer.
I'm not really sure how effective it would be.
We had the same issue a couple months ago about people complaining about freshly baked, which mean it's not on site, but it's been freshly baked somewhere else. Therefore, it's freshly to put it. Oh my God, man, my brain was about to explode when I read that. Again, it's the same. It's the same as Muzza said. People will find a way about it and do it. Free to log in, but not even but. It's free to log in.
They just shouldn't be allowed to use the words free in that case. They can say microtransaction-based economy or, something like that.
Well, let's be honest for all of us. Would any of you try this game if it didn't say it was free to play? Like, because I know for me, honestly, if it didn't say it was free to play, I would have never tried it. Well,
it was free to play when I logged in, when I joined it, but then all of a sudden they decided to bring in the cash shop. Sudden after they build up the customer base, I suppose. But it wasn't like this.
Do we have a beeper button for Eartha on these videos?
Yes, we do. I think a lot of people too are just basically playing this temporarily for the time being and just looking for, other things to play as well. And still enjoying multiple stuff at the same time instead of restricting yourself to one thing.
Oh man, yeah, like for me, I've been spending quite a few cash on the Wii I bought start of this year that I haven't been playing, but with the fact is, like, a lot of the event that I enjoy I cannot attend, therefore I have the spare time to actually play these games, I suppose.
And let the world know Muzza is a Pokemon addict.
And they bring in what you told me a couple days ago, they bring in something similar.
Get excited, guys.
What is that called? The Ruby and Sapphire or whatever?
It's Omega. No, I'll mess up the names and then I'll get mocked. I can't remember. Remakes of Ruby and Sapphire.
Well, I know the new Smash Bros. Is coming out soon. I was looking forward to that. And there's going to be a new Mario Kart, which is supposed to have a really cool online feature.
I suppose
Yeah,
that
I'm
works
definitely
fine for you
looking forward to
Americans,
those.
hey, over here in New Zealand when we play Mario Kart online. We'll think we're in first place, but we'll be in sixth.
Because of the lag issue, but yeah, I'm having...
I think another interesting thing too is in terms of, since this thing's not controlled by Webzen anymore, I don't know, maybe we'll talk about other stuff in the future, about some of the stuff that we can actually reveal about the management and so forth, just because now that there's no more, like, I guess, terms of service for Gpotato related stuff, we can talk everything about how certain specific people didn't get banned with, like, certain proof and stuff, right, Eartha? How certain people were magically targeted.
Oh man, yeah, don't get me started, like, management...
But please don't start it.
No, since you just... It still exists here too. I actually had to spot it out on the forum, on here and now. So the biasness, so what still exists.
You know what the problem is, Eartha?
What?
You haven't spent enough money to acquire the right to submit a report on them.
My tune is what, like... What? Can't even remember now.
But how much money have you spent on the game?
Yeah, because I'm pro, man. I just make my money out of nothing.
Exactly, man. Support ticket costs 3k US.
Dear Lord, man. No. Hate people. Okay, I hate people. Can't but I hate everyone.
That'll be for the future though. I guess for now, we're just gonna see how this game goes and basically any other stuff. And I guess we'll just have fun and continue to do what we do. I guess other than that, see you guys next time.
Oh, check out this clown, level 12 ruins. Piss off.